Hold on one second.
Yeah.
My kids are going to be locked out of the house and the bus is coming.
Uh-huh.
I got some bad news.
What's your bad news?
The gingerbreads ran away.
No way. The gingerbread man ran away. Come on, Kristen. Come in the
And
house.
we put up, and our teacher's putting up posters.
To find them? Like missing gingerbread posters? There's just no way. Never heard of that gingerbread running away before.
Not the gingerbread man.
There's no way it ran away. Like
No
every
way.
year, them damn gingerbread always run away.
They've never done that before.
She goes, I have bad news.
I know when she said that. I was
oh
like,
God,
oh
what?
what am I gonna hear? Like the
What?
mom heart. It just like went. Ugh.
I know.
Like, you bit someone. That's the phase we're in. Not the gingerbread man. Oh, that was so funny.
Not my gumdrop buttons.
Oh my God, I was almost gonna say that to you when you came back, but I was like, she might not get the reference because she doesn't know I heard that. But
I wish you woulda.
I know that would have been so.
Damn it.
Damn, missed opportunity. Hot damn. Well,
Shit.
yeah. Good grief. Hello, and welcome back to If It Were Up to Us, the podcast where we rethink, reimagine, and redesign the ultimate Disney theme park destination. I am your host, Chrissy, and this is my co-host, Stephanie. Hey, Steph, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm good.
I feel
my
like
dog
it's
is driving me nuts, but I'm good.
Yeah, we've been we're podcasting from home, and the dog is just very excited today. It is the season of delivery drivers, you know?
Yes, and it's like the best day ever, according to him, and so much to watch and see, and
So many delivery people. I was going to say, I feel like it's been a hot minute since we've chatted, and it's really only been 2 weeks, but after we spent so much time together, it feels like such a long time.
yes, it hasn't been 2 weeks. Wow.
Yeah, because
Oh my
I mean,
goodness.
yeah, I know. It's crazy. We went
is
from
crazy.
seeing each other nonstop, like 24/7 for like 4 days, and then we had one chat, and then that was it.
That was it. Just one whole chat, and just texting back and forth. Yeah.
Yes, while I was gone and enjoying the holiday with my family. Yes. You know.
Oh, I loved it. I loved the ending clip of our last episode.
Right,
so
with my whole
fun.
family. That was
Yeah.
such a great idea. Such a great idea by you. And my niece was like, I'm in the podcast. I was like, yes, you are.
Oh.
So, yeah. So it's our moms and my niece, apparently, who listen.
Moms and niece. That's so exciting.
But, okay, tell me, how was your Thanksgiving?
Good. So we switched up plans kind of last minute and went to my husband's aunt's for our first Thanksgiving. We always do at least 2 every year. I always tell my family, we will travel on Thanksgiving, but on Christmas Day, if you want to see us, you have to come to us.
Yeah,
Like,
so
I draw
smart.
the line. So we went, it's about an hour and a half away. So we went there for a noon Thanksgiving and then to my brother's for, Thanksgiving actual dinner time.
Right.
And it was good. We got snow, too, of course. I think you did, too, though, didn't you?
We saw some snow on the Saturday that we left. So, yep. Check that off the list. Don't need to do it again.
Snow for 2025, check.
Yep. Done. No
Didn't even
snow.
know it was on your list, did you?
Nope. I did not. We too are kind of like that, where we only travel for one of the holidays every year, and we kind of alternate which holiday that's going to be. And this year it was Thanksgiving, which I feel like I kind of like traveling for Thanksgiving better than Christmas because let me rephrase this or preface this by saying I really don't enjoy traveling for the holidays at all. I would much rather go and see my family like during the summertime where we don't have all of these like holiday obligations we have to be at and do, because I feel like that just eats up so much time just like quality time together, right? Like, but it is good because at the same time we do get to see kind of our extended family too. We got to see all of my husband's cousins, or most of my husband's cousins, and you know, so that was really nice. But then you just, yeah, I feel like it just eats up on the regular just being together time. So yes, but I do enjoy, I think, traveling more for Thanksgiving than for Christmas, just because Christmas is so involved. You know, it's technically 2 days of holidays, and it's just kind of a lot.
Sure.
So,
if not 3, because Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, the day after Christmas, I feel like,
right,
to get, you know, the extended family, it's a lot.
Yeah. And my father-in-law's birthday is the 23rd, so it's like birthday, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. Yeah, it's just all together in there, and so it's a lot. Now my dog is up to something. He's decided that this is the time to play with his toys.
The dogs are feral today.
They
Lay
are.
down, baby.
They're just
I'm trying to, usually I close myself in here and kick him out, but I always feel guilty on days when my kids aren't here and he's just like alone. It just makes me sad. So it is freezing cold up here. So the room I'm in doesn't have like actual like heat, because it was supposed to be like a porch, like an open porch, and we have enclosed it. So it gets cold, long story short, and if I keep this door open and the main house door, I get some of that heat. So selfishly, that too, but also, you know, for him, but because he can see out the window and hear the trucks, and if I get too excited, that makes him excited. So
I get it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's every time, like, we start podcasting, or because I work full-time from home, anytime I get on a call, that's like immediately when the dog is like, oh, you're talking to someone? Now I need to go outside and, you know, do all
I need
the
to
things.
bark, shake my head, itch.
Okay, well, the Thanksgiving holiday is done. That craziness is beyond us. Next question, did you do any Black Friday shopping? I feel like Black Friday is not really a huge deal anymore. The deals come out online for like the whole month, but
yeah. No, I honestly, my husband's completely done. I got his stuff, but it was nothing like on Black Friday special.
Yeah.
I didn't really, and I miss like the real Black Friday. I loved it. Like, it was so fun. You know, you got up either really early or stayed up late to like when they started open at like midnight. Oh my god, I have the best and most fun stories of like Black Fridays and spending Thanksgiving Day like looking through the ads and planning what you want. And now it's ruined, and it makes me sad. Did you Black Friday shop at all?
We kind of did. I did do a little bit of mostly online. I did not go out to the stores. But I did take advantage of some deals and stuff that they had at a couple of different stores. I'm trying not to give anything away for Christmas.
Yes.
But I did take advantage of some things. But the big thing was our big TV, the one that sits behind me here on the wall. It went kaput the week before we left for Thanksgiving. So, so we were slumming it with our little like 32-inch TV, and so we did end up taking advantage of those special deals on, I think it was Cyber Monday, and so we got ourselves a new TV, which was kind of fun.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, it's not really a thing anymore. But I do want you to remember and write this down and save it, because I'll forget it. When we do have our like holiday special, I want to hear those Black Friday stories, because I didn't really ever do Black Friday. I mean, I think I did it like once, but like I never waited in line.
Oh
Yeah, so I make sure to save that for the list.
We'll save those stories for our holiday special.
Okay, before we get in today, we do have some new news to talk about. Disney just dropped a bunch of news, so much so that we're actually going to kind of, I think, split it up, because there's just so much. But the one that I think I am most excited about, Bluey is coming to the high seas and the theme parks next year.
Yes. I honestly thought it was supposed to be this year. I swear when they announced this, like maybe it was D23 like last year, so 2024 or whatever. Yeah. I swear they announced it was supposed to be like this year. I could be wrong, but I was expecting Bluey to be like at the end of summer or beginning of the fall season. So, but
I don't really remember.
my kids, I couldn't get them into Bluey. It makes me sad because I know everyone loves it so
Yeah.
much, but like my kids never got into it. But I know so many families that are ecstatic
Yeah.
about this. It's cool. And it makes sense. It's taken too long. Like,
Yeah.
I was actually worried. I'm like, are they not going to hit this at the right time? And like the Bluey obsession will be over by the time this darn character gets into the parks.
Yeah.
Because like, why are you so delayed? I feel like as soon as you start seeing especially merch come out for a show, you need to like hop on that.
Yeah. Yeah. My own kid was dressed in Bluey attire for daycare today, so yeah.
Exactly.
You need to. I am really sad though when I saw that the ships it was sailing on next year, and the Destiny is not one of them. I was so sad. I was like, oh man, but I guess I'll just have to make
just
a trip
means
to
you'll have
Disney
to go on
World
another.
and, yeah.
Or
So.
Disneyland.
I am hoping though that some of my clients will get to take advantage of that because
Yes.
although they are kind of like you, they're not really huge Bluey fans, but I'm hoping I'll be able to live vicariously through them and get a little sneak peek because I am very excited for that. And then the other thing that I thought was so funny, because we have talked about it here on the podcast, the other news that I saw, it's not really Disney related, but kind of, Orlando Airport released their own line, or I think it's like a partnership between another like apparel company that does like socks and underwear, but it's in the carpet print. So it's that ugly green carpet.
Yes.
I thought that was so funny. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
People are so obsessed with that. If they ever change that carpet,
I know, right?
Riots.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Riots.
I mean, yeah. Like I said, I was giddy the last time I got to walk on it, so I'll be so sad if they don't. Like, yeah, they'll have to recreate that and just put that carpet in.
Somehow. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, well, should we take a quick break and then get into today's featured discussion topic? Unless you had any other new news.
I don't think so.
Okay, great. All right, so we'll take
I'll
a quick break.
Halfway through, but
Right? Yeah.
like, oh yeah.
Oh, by the way. Okay, yeah. So we'll take a quick break and then we'll get into all things. I'm going to just call it like our fourth theme park because we've done 3 and now 4, and we'll talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're back. Park number 4. We have talked about it, and I know we're in agreement on what we kind of envision for our next 2 parks in our unique destination. This is our park that's going to be likened to Hollywood Studios.
Yes.
Yes. So I did first of all, I did dress up in my best holiday glamour for Hollywood. One, because I'm now podcasting in front of my Christmas tree because it is Christmas time in the Gockley house, and we will be decorated probably for the next 2 months. But I have so many of these like ears that are just kind of like glitzy, and I was like, I don't really know where to wear them except for the holidays. And so so I put on my top that I think just fits for the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. Since we're talking all things Hollywood Studios. So not unusual to our style here, I have dug in to a bit of history about this park. And then I went
shocking
full rabbit hole. Like, I even went to Google Earth and like pulled up historical satellite images looking at this park. Because
wait, really? That's cool.
It's so cool. Yeah, they're super blurry and not great. And I had to like then go and look at like old maps of the park to like figure out what was what.
What you were looking at, yeah.
But it was very cool to like go bit by bit. But it's also one of the parks that like has the least amount of like aerial construction photos in its Google Earth history, which is weird because there's so much that has happened, but there's not a lot outside of like the more recent land additions. Of there just being like a long period of like just parks or just like construction walls and dirt. So compared to some of the other parks, which I thought was kind of interesting. like I said, I did do a bit of history and then I deep dived. And so we're going to have it all, I think, today. And then we can kind of talk about what we envisioned, but you'll have to bear with me through a bit of rabbit holing, if you will. So, okay. It's the early 1980s. Everything is super rad and just amazing. And all the hair is poofed, right? Okay, Disney Imagineering began exploring the idea of a new Epcot pavilion dedicated to the art of filmmaking. In early concept drawings, they came up with one primary attraction to go into this pavilion in Epcot, and then the exterior was going to look like kind of the facade of a movie set, if you will. And so a team of Walt Disney Imagineers had been given the assignment to create 2 new pavilions for Epcot. Epcot's Future World section. The session that they came up with led to what we ended up seeing, which was the Wonders of Life Pavilion, and then this new attraction called the Great Movie Ride. And they were actually going to call it like the Great Movie Ride Pavilion in Epcot. Yeah. And it was going to be, it would kind of have that like soundstage backdrop with the movie theater style entrance. And it would have actually been sat between the Land and the Journey to Imagination pavilions, so on that side of the park. And as we know, at the same time, Universal Studios was announcing that they were planning to bring a Florida park together that was going to include a tram tour of their studios. And Disney we know Disney didn't want to fall behind in that race or come second to Universal Studios ever. And so Michael Eisner, being the proponent of putting money into theme parks, actually had said, let's make this into a full-blown theme park with a working production studio. So that was really cool. And that's kind of how the concept of this theme park began. But what Disney did recognize is that they didn't have enough in their film representation to really have a good grasp and really increase public interest. So what they ended up doing is entering into a licensing agreement with Metro, Goldwyn, and Meyer, I don't know how it's pronounced, but MGM. And so, of course, then that became Disney's MGM Studios, right? But eventually, in 1980, so that kind of happens early 80s. We get this agreement going. In 1985, they entered into the agreement to a licensing contract that gave Disney worldwide rights to use the MGM brand and logo for what would become Disney's MGM Studios, which including the work and production facilities for films, television studios, a backlot, a satellite animation studio, all of that. And in turn, what they ended up doing was they built the animation studio first, and that actually started operating before the park opened. However, and I won't get into all the details because I might do a little thing later, but legal battles ended up ensuing. It was kind of like then MGM sued Disney and Disney sued MGM, and it kind of soured the partnership. So things had to change later on down the line. On May 1st, just 9 days before yours truly was birthed, Disney's Hollywood Studios opened in Florida under the original name Disney MGM. Didn't pull the whole quote, but the thing that I pulled out from the dedication was, we dedicate this park to the Hollywood that never was and always will be. The park's identity was clear. Like, they had a vision. It was going to be a celebration of classic Hollywood glamour, kind of an idealized of what the golden age of Hollywood would look like. It was also going to be film production, animation, and television, right? So a celebration of all of this with that working studio and film production on site, and like I said, the active animation studio. The original park would be laid out, or was laid out, into 2 basic sections, which is why today when you walk into Hollywood Studios, it kind of feels like a cluster, because things that once were there are not there, and the way it's just not as easily navigated as some of our other theme parks. Anyway, so the 2 basic sections were that classic Hollywood with the replica streets of Hollywood, and then they had that archway that actually just came down recently, that was a kind of beyond the studio gate section, which would house the working studios. And that gate was really symbolic of the studio arches that you would see on the film, like on the streets of Hollywood, that separated the studio from the outside world. On opening day, there were only 2 operating attractions in this park. The Backlot Tour and the Great Movie Ride, which is crazy to me. Like, Disney would never open a theme park with 2 attractions, right? Like, that's crazy. Never in a million years would they think to do that. So obviously Studio Backlot Tour and the Great Movie Ride, which was the original idea that kind of inspired everything. The park's original landmark was the Eiffel Tower, which was kind of reminiscent of all of the water towers that you would see on actual movie studio production lots. And it was obviously topped with Mickey ears, hence the Eiffel Tower. But since that came down, the Hollywood Tower Hotel, housing the Tower of Terror, has become the park's official icon. Okay, during its early years, just as some like general stuff, the park featured a Star Today program, which I did not know, but totally makes sense, with a daily celebrity guest. And the celebrity would often be featured in like a motorcade, or like kind of like a cavalcade type thing, down Hollywood Boulevard, and they would take part in a handprint ceremony at the Great Movie Ride, or they'd do like an interview session. How cool is that? Like, you have actual people coming to the park.
I did not know that. That's cool.
They also used to run daily parades down Hollywood Boulevard as well. They had the Disney Stars and Motor Cars parade, and then once Pixar was introduced into the park, they had a Pixar Block Party Bash. Like, I can remember going to the park around the time when Aladdin came out, and they had a huge parade. Like, I have photos of the floats of like in this parade. At this park. Today, you don't even see, like, you see no streetmosphere, no parades, none of it.
Yeah.
Which is
they haven't been brought, like, the citizens of Hollywood or whatever they were called back.
And those were their opening day. Like, that was a huge bit. They also had, like, old-timey cars that would drive around and, like, vehicles in the park. Like, it was a very different vibe than what you see today.
It's wild to think that people that have gone just recently don't even know about those like citizens of Hollywood, because I think I only saw them one time, like my very first ever time to Hollywood Studios, and then they were gone after that.
Yeah, it's crazy to me that they have not brought that back, because I mean that it's a classic form of entertainment in that park to begin with, and then it's also just, I mean, just from a standpoint of like logistically speaking, it's something that draws the crowds away from lines when they see those kind of things performing, right? And it breaks up the monotony of just like going from attraction to attraction to. So, okay, fun fact for you, which was one of the reasons that I Google Earthed this. The park's original layout formed a giant hidden Mickey from an aerial view. Most people know this, and if you look at a map today of that park, you'll still see some of this in the landscaping there in their like hub right in front of the Chinese theater. You'll like Echo Lake was one ear. They had at one point painted an ear on the roof of the buildings for the other ear, and then the planters make out the eyes and the nose, and then Mickey's mouth. So very cool thing. Obviously most of the redesign that has happened has taken that away, but yeah, just a little fun fact. So
pure chaos happening over here. Just I took a video of some of it, because if you would not believe what is happening on this side of the screen that you have no idea, because I'm muting it.
Drax, come on, man, get it together. Get it together.
Damn mess today. Okay, sorry.
He's just so excited. He's so excited we're podcasting again. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Okay, so like I said, we had 2 attractions, and I went on a deep dive in case you never got to experience these in real life. So that, like, did you get to experience either of these? I know you went later in life, and I think Great Movie Ride would have been open, but I don't think the Backlot Tour was open.
Neither. were open.
Neither.
Great Movie Ride had already closed.
By the
And
time you went
Backlot
for the
was
first time.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to. When did Great Movie Ride close? Do you
Oh,
have that?
Yeah, I have that in my
Do you have
notes.
that queued up?
I do. I have it. Hang on. To 2017.
Yep. So that was already closed. I didn't go to Hollywood Studios till April 2019.
Okay, yeah, so that was definitely close then. Such a bummer.
And the hat was gone too. Obviously.
Yes, the hat came down. I have that in here as well. Because this park just has gone, like, it's just gone through so much change. It's kind of crazy.
Wild.
Okay, so let's break down, since you never got to experience them in their glory, let's talk about these two attractions because, spoiler alert, these are coming back in our park, whether you like it or not.
Ooh, okay.
I feel that strongly about them for the idea that we have for our park. Like these two attractions, classic Disney attractions that need to come back. Okay. All right. So we have the Backlot Studio Tour. This attraction in and of itself went through multiple variations. It originally debuted as a 2-hour long backstage tour. Right? So, like, when you're thinking of it, like, this is one of the reasons that they didn't need so many attractions because 2 hours out of your day were eaten up doing this backlot tour, okay? So, there were two components to this tour. There was a tram tour you would take and a walking tour. At some point, they were two separate attractions because then, in order to keep pace, and it was so popular, they ended up doing some changes. So I'm just going to preface that by saying it could have been the opposite way than I'm going to read it, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so the first part I'll talk about is the tram part. Guests would ride through, so they'd board the tram, they would ride through the costuming and scenic departments, right? So and I remember going through this section and looking at... it was when they did the live action version of 101 Dalmatians, and seeing the costuming from that movie through the windows. So they had like the mannequins and the costumes and all of that. And then you would see the scenic department where they created all the sets, right? So you'd get to see these in these different like buildings that you would ride through. Then you'd go through a section called Residential Street, which was a neighborhood of house facades that were used in shooting films and TV. Such as, and probably the most famous one that people remember, the Golden Girls house. So you'd get to see that. And then you would head to what was called like the Boneyard area, where they had old vehicles that were used in the films of movies. And even Walt Disney's airplane was housed in this section of this tour. I mean, for me, it was really cool. Like, I love costuming. I love to see all that kind of stuff. But at the beginning of this ride, you had a live, like, operator or tour guide, right? And then at some point, they ended up doing a voiceover for it. And so you just listened. You rode and listened. It was very much like the People Mover, where you just looked at stuff and listened, and that was kind of it. But then you get to this section of the park called Catastrophe Canyon, where they saw a demonstration of special effects, like fire explosions and rain and, like, just, like, a ton of water and all this kind of cool stuff. But then you'd go through the streets of New York, which were used and anticipated. These were real facades that they wanted to be used for actual live filmings. And the idea was that as you're taking this tour, you're able to see these things being filmed, commercials, movies, TV shows through the streets of New York. So there was one movie, and I'm blanking on the name, that was filmed using this set, or the Streets of New York set, and I want to say it was Bette Midler who starred in it, but I did not write the actual movie name down. I will try to find it and put it, like, on the screen, the name of the movie that was filmed, but to my knowledge, that's really the only thing besides maybe a couple of TV commercials that was actually filmed, and more often than not, these streets were empty when you went through the tour because there was not actual production being done. and I forget where I saw it, so I can't cite my source, but I know that part of the reason why they ended up not being able to do the filming like throughout the day for guests to actually see real things happening was because they also had these mock sets and special effects demonstrations going off. So you're trying to film, and then you have these explosions happening in the background at all times of day. Like, it was, you either got to do one or the other. You can't quite do both. So,
No.
yes. Okay, so then they would unload to start the walking tour, where guests would be queued up through a prop warehouse, which housed, like, just different effects from different movies, some costuming, some props, all that kind of stuff. Like, it was essentially like walking through the shelves of the Disney archives, if you can imagine that. And then, but in this queue, they were also asking for special volunteers who would be selected to take part in the second half of the tour, which consisted of a water effects tank demonstration, which in its later years had like a Pearl Harbor theme, right? So one of the volunteers was going to be flooded with like thousands of gallons of water, and then the other ones would have to be like running down a walkway, avoiding like explosions that were happening in the water around them. I have a memory, which I will talk about in our memories episode, specifically about this portion of the like the tour. So then they would trek through various sound stages for television shows, other special effects demonstrations, like including blue screens. They walked, like, they got to see some of the big props that were used in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And then ultimately they ended up in a sound editing studio. And the sound editing studio, again, because there was not a lot of actual production happening on this tour, it ended up being replaced by like a video with like George Lucas and some of the like special effects and sound editing and stuff that happened for the Star Wars movies. So the tour finally would conclude at the Walt Disney Theater, where previews for upcoming films would be shown. So that was like your whole 2 hours, getting to see and learn and hear about all these things. Like I said, ultimately it ended up that this tour, because it was so popular, would be broken down and changed up. At one point, the entrance to the tour, which used to be kind of directly behind the MGM Studios archway, right, where we know the Star Wars launch bay was, that was the original entrance to this tour. Eventually, it ended up being moved from Animation Courtyard down what was then considered Mickey Avenue. Eventually, the Streets of New York section would be cut out from the tour to allow for general guests to just explore this area of the park on their own. So they no longer took the tram ride through there. That's where you could walk through, and I do remember doing that when I went there for my senior spring break trip. So I'll try to put some of those pictures into here as well. And then the Walt Disney Theater portion of it was removed to become a soundstage venue, which ultimately then became where they show the Little Mermaid show. So just to kind of orient yourself. And like I said, then in 1991, the walking part of the tour became its own attraction called Backstage Pass. So as time went on, this 2 hour long studio tour ended up becoming 2 separate 30-minute things, and even shorter. And ultimately, as we now know, bye-bye. So, yes, I have memories of doing this tour. I particularly enjoyed it, and I want to see this come back. And I have some ideas around that. We'll get to that when we get into our park. So, are you ready for the next attraction? Let me just bring you into the world of movies. You're standing out front of the Chinese Theater in Disney's Hollywood Studios theme park, and you see a marquee for the Great Movie Ride. This attraction employed the use of audio animatronic figures, practical sets, live actors, special effects, projections to recreate scenes from 12 classic films throughout motion picture history. You board a vehicle, much like the one you see in Mickey's Runaway Railway today. Cars with a couple of rows, bench seats, could fit multiple people at a time. They traveled in pairs of 2. So each, like, train, if you will, was 2 cars. And they featured an open, like, cab in the front row of the vehicle for the live tour guide to stand and provide narration and operate the vehicle. So, as the ride began, the song Hooray for Hollywood plays overhead as the vehicle tour guide welcomed guests into the attraction and introduced Robert Osborne from Turner Classic Movies. Sorry to my people who know who he is. I do not know. Sorry. No. Don't know who he is. Whatever. He then informs via onboard narration that they're going to be taken through scenes from different classic films throughout history. The rooms throughout this attraction were separated by genre of film. So the first genre you're introduced to are musicals, which begins with the Cake of Starlets from the Footlight Parade. Again, I am younger than I think the demographic was for this attraction, but I can appreciate the history and all of it. But Stephanie, I have to bring up this little fun fact, because while we were at Hollywood Studios, I don't know if there was a window that looked like the Rockettes were like standing in the window dancing. They had their arms up like this. Okay. That is the actual animatronic from this set.
No way.
Yes. So they have on a Christmas attire outfit, right? But if you looked under like their hats, you would see their swim caps, because they were like synchronized swimmers in this scene from this movie I've never seen before. So if you went up close enough, you saw that. I remembered looking at those and thinking, God, those look familiar. And thinking to myself, like, oh, they're like, it's cute. They're after the Rockettes, right? The second we got home from our trip, I saw I saw Dapper Danielle and the Mouselets. Yeah. They're all talking about how these were from this attraction. So, very cool. Way to go, Disney, for reusing your stuff from a attraction long lost. The next musical scenes included scenes from Singing in the Rain, in which they had like those, they're like the party streamers that you put above your door, you know, and I say they're streamers, but they're like sheets of plastic that like sparkle as the wind blows them, and they're just like a bunch of like little tiny strips. Have you ever seen those party decorations? Okay, that's kind of what it looked like.
Oh, yeah,
that's how
I
they did the rain
in
this scene, right? And so you see that, but then you
see is it the Tiki Room that they use that same thing too?
Yes, I think you're right.
They use this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Same kind of concept. For Singing in the Rain, followed by Mary Poppins. You had Mary Poppins and then Bert singing on the rooftops of London from obviously the movie Mary Poppins. So you got all of those, like a scene from every single one of those like classic movies, right? Okay, next you get into a tribute to gangster films. Okay. Ooh, the ride vehicle passes. What'd you say?
Like The Godfather?
I mean, kind of. The Public Enemy is the movie, but yes, 1930s. So the ride vehicle passes through the dark and seedy back streets of 1930s Chicago and past an audio animatronic of Tom Powers in a scene from The Public Enemy. Okay, now here's where it gets interesting in this ride. Okay, you're on this ride. You're being guided by a tour guide through the movies, right? Depending on which vehicle you were sitting in, one of two things was about to happen to you. So let's pretend for a second you were in the second vehicle, because it makes more sense because we're in this room right now. Okay, if you're in the first one, you see this scene, you move on. No problem, everything's fine. If you're in the second vehicle, the ride vehicle gets stopped when the traffic light turns red in the streets of Chicago, okay? At that point, a live gangster named Muggsy, or Muggsy with an I if it was a girl, and their audio animatronic companions, Squid and Beans, show up, and then they get involved in a shootout, right? With like rival mobsters in the car on the opposite side of the street from where the ride vehicle was. Okay, so now you've got this scene playing out in front of you where these like live actors and animatronics are shooting pew pew over you. Okay. During the shootout, the live gangster chases the tour guide and hijacks the vehicle, and you move on to the next scene. Okay, where you find a nice tribute into the Western genre of films. Okay. Here, the guests encounter an audio animatronic of the man with no name, Clint Eastwood, standing outside of a saloon where John Wayne, his character in this movie, is atop his horse. Okay? Now, for guests in the second previously hijacked vehicle, you just move right on through here. Okay? But what has already happened by the time that you arrive is that first vehicle that got to go through, right? They get stuck in a shootout between the town sheriff and the bank robber as the gangster just ignores the shootout. Okay? He's like, whatever, I've been in a shootout. That's no big deal. But in the first vehicle, the live bank robber appears from inside the bank, and they have a shootout with the sheriff, and after getting into a shootout, they chase the tour guide away and into the bank, and the bandit sets the town ablaze with dynamite and then hijacks that ride vehicle. So now you're just along for the ride because you don't know what's happening. You're either now from here on out the stuff remains the same for both vehicles, but the storyline in which your vehicle got hijacked changes depending on which vehicle you're in, which is kind of fun. Okay. Next, the ride vehicle continues into the darkened corridor of a seemingly abandoned spaceship, revealing itself to be, I don't know how to say it, but the doomed vessel from the movie Alien. Also never seen that one, so sorry. And they ride past an animatronic with the main character from there who's holding like a flamethrower as she prepares to confront a creature lurking within this ship. The gangster and the bandit become nervous, and they speed the vehicle right through, but not before this creature appears and attacks the guest. So, scary. Yeah, okay. Then the ride vehicle enters a scene, an ancient Egyptian tomb filled with snakes. My husband would die. Osborne informs the guests that they're in a scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark, and you see an animatronic of Harrison Ford's Indiana Jones. And someone else, I think his counterpart in that movie. And they struggle to lift the Ark of the Covenant. A second room within the temple appears, and the large altar comes to form, and the large altar in the form of an ancient Egyptian god, right? Near the top of this altar, a large priceless jewel is like being watched over by a cloaked temple guard. The gangster, the bandit, they're criminals. They see it. They're like, I want that. Gotta have it. They stop. They get off the vehicle, and they take it, right? There's like a warning that says like, whoever does this shall die, or whatever it is. And then suddenly a plume of smoke, fiery smoke appears, and it engulfs the whole altar, right? And then the guard protecting the jewel disrobes and turns out to be your tour guide. And when the smoke clears, the gangster, or the skeleton of the gangster or the bandit is revealed, and the tour guide reboards the vehicle and just goes on with the show like nothing ever happened.
Oh.
Okay. The next part is the part that I would not enjoy because it's a horror film. And so we're going to pay tribute to horror films at this point. You're going to go through like a chamber of mummies. Some of them come to life. Very scary. Then we're going to go into like the jungle, and we're going to see Tarzan swinging on a vine. And like, so that's that. I guess that's not so scary, but you know. And then the ride vehicle moves into the final scene, which is the classic Casablanca with the back butt of an airplane and Humphrey Bogart and his female counterpart in this movie. I'm sorry, I've never seen these. As they stand in front, like waiting for the airplane in their like trench coats, you know, like it's that classic scene, right? And then the ride vehicle moves on to a film projection of Mickey Mouse as a Sorcerer's Apprentice from Fantasia. And then finally we come to, we get into the scene from The Wizard of Oz, which, with all this wicked stuff happening, just feels so appropriate. Where Dorothy's house had landed on the Wicked Witch of the East, the audio animatronic munchkins begin to appear from various places as they welcome the guests, like, to their home. Then the plume of smoke comes, and the Wicked Witch of the West appears and asks who's responsible. Like, you're in that scene of the movie, right? And then poof of smoke, she disappears, the munchkins reappear, and they begin to sing as the guests follow the yellow brick road out of Munchkin Land, past the animatronics of Dorothy and the Scarecrow and the Tin Man and the Lion and Toto, standing in front of Emerald City, and on to the ride's grand finale, in which the ride vehicles enter a dark theater. They line up side by side, come to a stop of a movie screen, and there you meet your friend, whatever his name was, Osborne, or the tour guide, if that's not working, concludes with a 3-minute film montage of classic films. And there were a buttload of films that are just like clips and just of all of these films, Disney and other ones. And then the tour guide is applauded by the guests, declares the tour a success, and both ride vehicles exit the theater to return to the loading space where they exit the vehicle. So,
how long was this ride?
That is a great question. I don't think it was that long, but it was a bit lengthy. I distinctly remember doing or having the scenes in which, like, the tour guide gets removed from your vehicle and your thing gets hijacked. Like, I remember that. When I was reading, though, it was saying that
22 minutes.
Okay, so yeah.
What?
Decently long. I mean, that's a lot to take in and see, especially when your vehicle gets hijacked and you have to have a shootout.
I feel like I just went on a trip.
I know, right? I explained it so well to you. You could just envision all of it. I don't think Disney could have a 22-minute long ride like this.
Not with anyone's attention spans nowadays.
Mm-hmm. And I also just think capacity-wise, like, you're not going to get
enough.
You're going to have to make some changes. Yeah. You're going to have like 2 of these show buildings, you know, to hit capacity and be able to turn out guests like you need to with the crowd levels these days. But we can talk about that in a minute. But yeah.
Actually insane.
Right? Like I said, I know I want to bring these to our park. I would probably change out some of the movies that I've never seen before.
I think we would probably legally have to.
Yeah. But yeah.
I think we should do the movies that were filmed in Hollywood studios or recorded if they were, you know, animated.
Yeah, definitely include those. And then, yes, some of the animated. Or take, here's what I think. We're gonna have to, like, we're gonna pop this in too. But to bring this back, I would love to see the animatronics look like the characters and have the costumes from the live action remakes of some of those animated classics that were done in Hollywood studios. So, like, Beauty and the Beast, right? Like, you would have what is it, Emma Watson's character, like Emma Watson's Belle, and the dress from that movie in this attraction.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I would update it. So
that 22 minutes, I did not realize it was that long of an attraction.
Yeah.
I need to go watch some, like, videos of this ride.
Yes, you do. If you've not seen it, if you've never got to experience it, I think you should go and check it out. I also, like I said, so these were audio animatronics. Like, I remember going on the ride, in the Footlight Parade, none of those were actually working. The original scene in the ride, the original scene had moving animatronics. It had water features. Like, it was a very cool element. However, it kept breaking down to the point where eventually Imagineers were like, we got to cut all this out. Like, water would flood, like, the path that these vehicles would take because it was such an issue. And the, like, little, like, cake-looking thing would actually turn, and that eventually stopped turning as well. So there was a lot of changes that had to be made throughout the years to this attraction specifically. But I think with today's technology and the things that we know we can do, you could easily remake this and make it so that you don't have so many issues. And I mean, think of all the like rides that we have so many animatronics on now. I just think it would be worth it. So.
Well, I'm not going to fight you because it wouldn't matter if I did anyways.
Yeah, this is the only time in life that I'm putting my foot down on that one and saying we're bringing them back. We'll change them, make them more relevant, but
yeah, updated versions.
Mm-hmm. But I still think you have to have some of the scenes like, you know, Casablanca and, you know, even Indiana Jones in there. I think you can't not.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
You make it like classics to presents type of.
Yeah.
Like you start old and work your way to the new.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. You could go the opposite way.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I like the idea of doing it that way. And also you have to think about all the different umbrellas that you have under the Disney name now and in the film,
for sure.
you know, category now. You have all of those Fox 21st Century ones and Marvel even. You could easily do stuff from all of that. So, yeah. Okay. So now that you've been on a little bit of a history deep dive, and you know,
a whole tour.
Yeah, I mean, basically, you experienced a whole day at, you know, a whole
Hollywood
opening
Studios
day.
in
That's
19,
yeah, in 1989.
Yep.
Okay, I know that we're going to be kind of button up on time here, but like we have mentioned, this park has changed so much since it opened, and there have been so many variations to things. And obviously, when it opened, it had 2 opening day attractions. It no longer has that. So I thought I could just review for a minute just some of the changes that we've seen kind of decade by decade in this park. Plus, I think that may give us some ideas as to what we might want to bring back, or say, yeah, Disney did right in probably our part 2, since we're going to have to break it into part 2. But, so, yeah. You ready for that?
I'm ready.
Okay. All right. So, obviously, we know the park opened in 1989, and the 90s brought the first set of changes that we see to the park. In the park's original planning, the Disney Imagineers and the Disney Company were trying to work through getting, like, Jim Henson's The Muppets and bringing that into the theme park. The talks that they were in talks kind of in the late 80s, early 90s with Jim Henson. He ultimately passed away at the beginning of the 90s. Or maybe it was the end of the 80s. I forget exactly when. But Disney was finally able to realize that in 1991, and they ended up incorporating, instead of having a Muppets section of the park, like they had originally thought they would, they converted part of the Streets of America to this Muppet Vision area. So where we knew Muppet Vision to be before it closed was that section of the Streets of America where they put in the Muppet Vision 3D, all of that. The park saw its first real expansion in 1994 with the addition of Sunset Boulevard and the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror attraction. In that same year, that's when they split, and the New York, the Backlots New York streets were opened to guest access to relieve traffic and rename the Streets of America. During this same decade, the animation studio on site assisted in the production of Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Lion King, and The Lion King, with Mulan and Lilo and Stitch being completed entirely at that park's studio, which is so cool and so fun. The Sunset Boulevard area received an expansion in the late 90s, starting with the installation of the outdoor amphitheater for Fantasmic, and that opened in 1998, which, interestingly enough, was a whole 6 years after the one in Disneyland. I didn't know that. So,
Oh.
Yeah. And then in 1999, the indoor looping roller coaster that themed to Aerosmith, called Rock and Roller Coaster, officially opened to the public. So, that was the 90s. In 2001, the the Sorcerer's Hat that we talked about earlier was erected in the theme park's central hub and served as the icon until it was removed in 2015. And then the Eiffel Tower was also removed the following year. In summer 2023, that residential street was demolished to make way for Lights, Motors, Action Stunt Show, which was actually an adaptation of a show that came from the Walt Disney Studios Park in Paris. So, yeah. Then, let's see. Oh, okay. In 2004, Disney shuttered the animation studio there at the theme park. And then in 2007, Disney announced that MGM Studios would be rebranded as Hollywood Studios, becoming effective in 2008. And that's the same year that the former soundstage, number one, that building became home to Toy Story Mania. And then the surrounding area of those sound stages was rethemed as Pixar Place. Toy Story, and at that point it was called Toy Story Midway Mania.
Yeah.
Right? And it's the same attraction that we know today. It's just been the queue has been rerouted to enter through Toy Story Land. Yeah. Then in the 2010s, the park began phasing out all of the studio-like attractions. That's really where we saw the ones that headlined the park. So the closure of the Backlot Tour, we also saw the American Idol experience being gone. And then there was also a Legend of Captain Jack Sparrow attraction that also ended in 2014. I have no recollection of this attraction whatsoever. So I got nothing. I do know that the American Idol experience theater, like that could be a whole other deep dive in what that looked like and how that worked in the parks and the ways that changed and all of that. But the building that housed that experience is now where we see the Frozen sing-along. So, then in 2015, let's see. Hang on. Oh, no, sorry. 2016, the majority of the streets of America, including the backlot facades, the Lights, Motors, Action Stunt Show, all of that and the remaining backstage areas were closed and demolished in preparation for the park's expansion of the two themed lands, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge and Toy Story Land. As we said, in 2017, the Great Movie Ride was closed and was replaced by Mickey's Runaway Railway, which opened in 2020. The 11-acre expansion of Andy's Backyard, Toy Story Land, opened in 2018, and Galaxy's Edge opened in 2019, replacing the Streets of America with a 14-acre immersive experience. And then the remaining bit of Streets of America that was left, known as Muppet Courtyard, as we know now, has closed. And so really here in the 2020s, we've seen the opening of Mickey's Runaway Railway and the closure of that, and then all of the things that have been announced for future plans.
And the arch being gone.
The beautiful arch, which is a whole other deep dive in and of itself. So, okay. I think that brings us to kind of a good stopping point for this episode. Because I think really we can talk about what it looks like now in the next episode and what we're keeping for what it looks like now and what we're maybe wanting to change. In our park for our next episode. I feel like I talked a lot at you in this one, but I couldn't help but deep dive into everything Hollywood Studios. So.
And it's cool, and there's a bunch of stuff I didn't know. And I also basically rode the Great Movie Ride without riding it. Yeah. And it was way better this way.
And not 22 minutes long.
Oh,
much shorter than 22 minutes, I think. So, okay. Well, yeah, then we'll just wait until next time to kind of, review everything that's current and where we want to go for our park.
Yeah. So if it were up to us,
well, you'll just have to listen. I'm gonna have to cut this out, but the dog is just staring at me at the back door. You're fine. You were just out there like an hour ago. You're just gonna have to deal with it. I'm sorry.
Oh God, I laughed too much and now the dog's wagging his tail and hit my chair.
He's like,
and shaking the computer.
It's fine. I feel like our episodes just get a little bit more chaotic every time.
Honestly, I love it. It is us.
It's so us.
My mom, okay, little intercept for a second. My mom today, she's like, I loved that little 5-minute episode. And she's like, not because it was like some amazing like thing or anything. She's like, but like hearing you guys in the background, like, and how natural, like, just the banter is. And I'm like, I know. Yeah. And like, we should have recorded the entire days, just like mic'd ourselves up because the stuff that we say is just ridiculous. It's fine.
Yeah. My mother also commented that our episode that we recorded at Wilderness Lodge was like one of our best, just because it was just us like casually talking and like not prompted, and she said it just seemed so natural, kind of in that same mindset. So I was like, it's crazy. You know, sometimes in life you just meet somebody who is very special and you just get along and you become like instant lifelong friends, and that's what has happened. And there was just a very quick level of comfort, and the dog is now playing with its toys. And just ridiculous, like you just instantly just feel like you can be yourself around that person, and that's this. So anyways, super duper lovey moment over. Going back.
I'm just kidding.
I know, right? God dang, Stephanie.